fellow Slivers across the multiverse. Welcome back to your one and only trustworthy Hive. Uncle Sliver here used to dislike Commander. A lot. I refused to play it for years. Fun fact, the Command Zone was already my favorite YouTube channel about Magic the Gathering anyways. My favorite format used to be Modern actually. Now, I'm not the best player out there of course, but I was eventually good enough so that I built most of my collection by winning small and medium Modern tournaments, always using the prize money or store credit to get more cards and make the addiction self-sustaining. If you wanna learn more about tips for new players or the habits of great players, check out these two videos on my channel. Links will be on the description below. So, why am I talking about liking Modern but disliking Commander? I guess somewhere along the way, after playing a million competitive Modern games, I lost touch with my inner Timmy. Timmy or Tammy is a term used in Magic the Gathering to describe players who mostly prefer the fun aspect of the game. Playing Modern every week and trying to win every single time so that I could keep on getting more cards was slowly turning me into a Spike. Spike is another term used in Magic the Gathering to describe players who mostly prefer the competitive side of the game. What's funny is that I had always classified myself as a Johnny, which is the term used to describe players who are kind of in the middle of Timmies and Spikes. They enjoy both the fun and the competitive aspects of the game. They want to win, but on their own terms. Once I was finally seduced by the awesomeness that is Commander, I rediscovered my inner Timmy. The one that made me fall in love with Magic the Gathering because of a card like Shivan Dragon. And the second Commander I built was Surrak Dragonclaw. I mean, look at this dude. It has Timmy written all over it. Big 6/6 dumb creature, can't be countered, makes other creatures uncounterable, it gives them trample, it has flash, which can also be very Timmy sometimes. However, the Johnny and the Spike in me are still alive and kicking. That's why I chose Surrak, because while a lot of it might be very Timmy, it gave me access to blue, which we all know is the spikiest of colors. So are you looking for a Commander deck that tickles the Timmy, the Johnny and the Spike in you all at the same time? Well, have I got a deck tech for you. Let's go over the mana base first. As usual, no deck tech on the internet, especially a Commander one, will be the end-all be-all list. So if you have dual lands, if you don't have fetches but you have the Battlebond lands, if you really like Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse, then customize the mana base to your own preferences and or possibilities. In this deck I run each of the Timur related fetch lands, each of the shock lands, each of the check lands, each of the pain lands, each of the bounce lands, and each of the filter lands. I run a copy of Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, and Ancient Tomb. One copy of Ketria Triumph, one copy of Frontier Bivouac, and one copy of Rogue's Passage. An excellent land with Surrak, since it will allow us to push Commander damage, and sometimes even lethal damage very easily. The rest of the lands are 8 forests, 4 islands, and 2 mountains. Now let's check the first category within our strategy. I don't like running a lot of mana dorks in Commander because they're just terrible if you draw them on later turns of the game. So in this list, I run one copy of Birds of Paradiso, one Sakura Tribe Elder, and a copy of Selvala Heart of the Wilds. Selvala is obviously the best one here. It will allow us to play our Commander on turn 4 or even turn 3 while drawing us a card and then tapping for a bunch of mana. There is a reason why this card is a legit CEDH Commander on its own. For the rest of the ramp, we run Mana Crypt, Sol Ring, all of the Timur related signets, and Arcane Signet. If Mana Crypt is a little bit out of your budget, you could run another 1 mana Mana Dork or 2 mana Mana Rock. Not quite the same, I know, but hey, sometimes we gotta work with what we've got. As for the ramp spells, we run a copy of Nature's Lore and Rampant Growth, one copy of Kodama's Reach and Cultivate, and 1 copy of Migration Path. If you remember, Migration Path was one of my top picks for best Ikoria Commander playable cards. The thing with ramp spells is that if you already have all the mana you need in later turns of the game, drawing them is just awful. You need stuff in which to invest all that mana, not more mana. That's why I love Migration Path. You can always cycle it away and try to find something better if the situation calls for it. We also run 1 copy of the Great Henge. Most of the time, we won't pay the full cost of this card. The Henge gives us 2 green mana each turn and it will draw cards whenever we play monsters. I know not all of us have a copy of Gaia's Cradle, so the next best thing would be Growing Rites of Itlimok. Our draw spells are divided into 2 categories. Permanents that constantly draw cards if we meet some specific criteria, and unconditional draw a bunch of cards spells. On the first category, we have things like Heuristic Study, which if you run blue, well, why the hell wouldn't you play this? Sylvan Library because, well, that's as efficient and consistent as card draw gets in green. Kiora Behemoth Beckoner doubles down as draw and ramp if you untap a land or a mana rock with its ability. Garruk's Uprising from M20 has taken the place of cards such as Colossal Majesty from my old list. Timur Ascendancy draws cards and makes our creatures not only tramply with Surrak but also hasty. And Guardian Project, a steady source of card draw as long as we keep on playing creatures. Now, this deck is all about the beatdowns, playing big creatures and smashing face. However, there are a bunch of creatures that also double down as card draw engines. Beast Whisperer might not be the biggest of threats, but just like Project Guardian, as long as you keep on playing creatures, it will keep on drawing you cards. The same goes for Soul of the Harvest, which packs a more decent body than the Whisperer. Consecrated Sphinx is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. It triggers many of our enchantments and draw engines, it's a threat with evasion, and it draws cards too. What's not to love? Speaking of threats with evasion that draw cards, Hydroid Krasis might be even better than the Sphinx. It's Mind Spring on a stick, and it gains life. And the stick has flying and trample. See? Many cards in here are very teamy, Johnny and Spike all at the same time. Another very teamy yet surprisingly Johnny and even spiky card in this deck is Nesahal Primal Tithe. I love this dinosaur so much. It has disappointed me 0 times, and it's a bitch to remove, so trust me, it's good. Shaman of the Great Hunt has built-in draw and it synergizes very well with all the trample shenanigans of our strategy. As for unconditional card draw, I like running Pull from Tomorrow or Mind Spring. Or both. Yeah, you should play both. Now the main event. The truly heavyweight stuff. This is the most fun part of the deck. The big, stupid monsters bashing faces without mercy. Terror of the Pigs is the newest addition to the lineup. I used to run Warstorm Surge, but this is the same thing on a stick. A big, angry stick with flying for 1 less mana nonetheless. Timur Sabertooth has a bunch of fun applications in this deck. We run a lot of enchantments and creatures that draw us cards when we play creatures, right? Well, the Sabertooth can keep bouncing creatures to our hand, which is also highly desirable when someone tries to board wipe. If you have enough mana, you could save all of your creatures. Savage Knuckleblade is all about efficiency. For the cost of exactly Timur, we can trigger most of our card draw engines and get a very decent and versatile Face Smasher. Rurik Thar the Unbowed is another all-star of Gruul Smash based decks everywhere. Control decks will have a very tough time if this sticks around for a couple of table rotations. Quartzwood Crasher is another amazing recent addition to this deck. I used to play Regisor Alpha, but I guess the Alpha will have to stick to Pioneer and Historic. Quartzwood Crasher is the trample dinosaur you want in this deck. Speaking about tramply dinosaurs, how about a 2-mana 12/12? Galta can, and many times will, one-shot kill a lot of opponents with the right setup. You will see as we keep revealing the rest of our creatures and combat tricks. Last dinosaur from our Smash lineup is Etali Primal Storm. Sometimes a single attack trigger from this Jurassic Park 3-star is all it takes to get massively ahead of everyone else at the table. Another recent addition to this list is Proud Wild Bonder. If our opponents have a million blockers or creatures that are just as big as ours, the Wild Bonder will proceed to give them the cool story bro before a truly epic spanking. Especially if we have our commander in play. Nylea Keen-Eyed offers yet another card advantage engine on a stick. Plus, it's not really that hard to get that green devotion going in this deck. She is also indestructible and makes all of our creatures cost one less mana. Ilarg the Razeboar is another one of the cards in this deck that offers a very real possibility of one-shot killing opponents out of nowhere. When we're done with this list, check all the creatures this lovely board can cheat into play. You'll see what I'm talking about. Green Warden of Murasa offers a solid creature, but also some graveyard recursion, which is never a bad thing to have. Believe me, your opponents are going to try their best to blow up all of your creature and enchantment goodies, so it's nice to be able to get some of them back. Goreclaw Terror of Kal Sisma is another perfect fit for our strategy. It lowers the cost of our big creatures, it has 4 power, which as you probably already noticed is kind of important in this deck, and it acts as yet another trample shenanigans enabler. Goth Eternal Ronas is another creature that, if played at the right time, will finish one or even more opponents. It doubles the power of all creatures, it gives them vigilance, if it dies it will probably come back in 3 turns or less. What an absolute beast. Speaking of absolute beasts, did you really think we were going to have this kind of big monster bash face extravaganza and not invite Craterhoof Behemoth? And this is a deck that includes God Eternal Ronas, Ilarg the Razeboar, Timur Sabertooth, etc, etc. Timmies and Spikes alike rejoice. And the Race for Runners is a decent, cheaper option by the way, or go full Timmy and play both, who cares? The last creature of this deck is Seedborn Muse. It might not be a huge monster or card draw engine, but the Muse is still essential to such a mana-hungry deck that happens to also have access to blue. It will allow us to use all of our mana to fill the board with giant monsters, attack with said monsters, and then untap everything to be able to protect our army, or draw cards, or use tricks, or whatever. You might be asking now, what tricks, Uncle Sliver? So let's move on to the last section of this deck. Why should Surrak have all the flash fun? Leyline of Anticipation or Vedalken Orrery will allow us to play big monsters or any of our draw engines right before our turn. Sarkhan's Unsealing offers extra damage or even a couple of board wipes depending on what monster we cast. They don't even need to hit the board, although with Surrak in play, all of them will. Wilderness Reclamation offers a little bit of the same good stuff that Seedborn Muse does. It will only untap lands though, but that's still pretty fucking good. Beast Within offers solid targeted removal against any problematic permanent that might be standing between our monsters and absolute bloodshed. Frozen Grip does the same for obnoxious artifacts or enchantments, and Split Second remains amazing to this day for a reason. We run 2 1-mana tutors in this deck, Mystical Tutor and Worldly Tutor. Need a trick? Mystical has your back. Need a specific monster? Worldly will get it for you. What about tricks to protect our stuff? Stubborn Denial, Counterspell, and Fierce Guardianship are our counters of choice. The Ferocious in Stubborn Denial is ferociously easy to get online in this deck. Counterspell never needs any explanation. And Fierce Guardianship is an amazing new card from Commander 2020 that is perfect for this deck, since we always want Surrak on the battlefield. Heroic Intervention is the last ace up our sleeve. Board wipe? Not today, son. Not today. Finale of Devastation and Green Sun Zenith will get that Craterhood Behemoth or God Eternal Ronas or Ilarch the Razeboar you need to close up games. Finale of Devastation at X equals 10 is especially nasty, and if you cast it for that and you don't win, well, I really don't know what to tell you. Maybe play Yu-Gi-Oh instead. Our last Smash Phase related trick is an oldie but a goodie. Timur Battle Rage. Another excellent tool for one-shot killing opponents with, again, stuff like Surrak himself, Galta, Craterhoof, Ronas, Ilarch, Quartz with Crusher, etc, etc, etc. The last card of this deck is Cyclonic Rift.
Gonna cry?
If somehow all the Trample and Behemoths and Ronas are not enough, well, clear the board and smash Phase without opposition. And that's it, my fellow Slivers. Let me tell you what I love the most about this deck and Timur colors in general. They are so easy to customize, it's unreal. You can make this deck even teamier with even bigger monsters. You can make it spikier if you take all the tutors and infinite combo route. You can keep changing the creature lineup, the tricks, the way in which you want to draw cards, how mana hungry you want the deck to be. Timur colors have access to the biggest monsters, but also the most powerful blue spells. So what do you think of this list? What would you change? I would love to read your thoughts, so leave a comment below. If you liked this video and you would enjoy watching more content from Papa Sliver with the sunglasses, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, leave your thumbs up and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. That's the best way in which you can support the Hive. Take care, my fellow Slivers, we'll gather again on the next video.